Good afternoon. This is Jim Whitehead. I typically am always saying good afternoon because I prepare these and mainly do these in the afternoon. So, good afternoon to you, and I hope everything is going well for you. Today, we're going to talk about another unique wildlife rescue sanctuary known especially for lifelong care of bears. The name of the facility is, and I will tell you in 1 minute, the Orphaned Wildlife Center in Otisville, New York. Now, if you watch any of these, you see that I was thinking that because I did some in the United States, nothing wrong with the facilities, but they were kind of, I guess you might say, routine type, and that's great too. So it's not where you belittle any rescue because they don't have the 28,000 square feet of land. So I kind of was thinking that the United States, due to land is expensive and this and that, there wouldn't be these large facilities that I was kind of seeing and doing presentations on out of the country. So this is, I think, the third facility in the United States that I'm finding. I was very wrong thinking that, they're little facilities that have animals in cages. Because, taking care of an animal, whether it's, on a 33,000 square foot property, open property, or a very small property, the fact that you're taking care of and rescuing animals doesn't make it good or bad at all. But it would be where you try as a content creator to come up with things that are unique that, you would say, gee, I've never seen that before. So what I've been pleasantly surprised, this is my third location in the United States, and they have wonderful large facilities where animals generally are not in cages unless, of course, they are sick and so on and so forth. So the Orphaned Wildlife Center in Otisville, New York is great. And you'll see, I'll show you a map and some of the very special bears, and this is generally what they specialize in. Now, to be honest, with my images for this presentation, has it where the images aren't great. But the reason for that is when I went to the location to look at all these specifics, the images I used were actual images or pictures that they took and posted on their website. So yes, I could come up with a much cleaner, higher resolution picture of the same type of bear, but not, the exact bear, and in the situation that this exact bear is whether it's in the water and you're going to see. So please understand, when I go through this, you'll see these are technically not my images or images I pulled from AI sources. This is, again, images that they have done. Okay. A unique wildlife rescue and sanctuary known especially for lifelong care of bears, including a legendary Kodiak bear with an extraordinary life story. And you're going to find that that is Jimbo. And my name is Jim, and people call me Jimbo, so maybe I'm related. You never know. I laugh at my own jokes. Anyway, the mission and background. The Orphaned facility is a nonprofit, you won't be tested on this, nonprofit 501c organization that's basically tax free if it's basically it doesn't need to be taxed and it shouldn't be taxed, and it helps them make sure they have the money they need to take care of these wonderful animals. Anyway, this organization was founded in 2015 by Jim and Susan Kalwalczyk. I destroy every name, and I apologize. I certainly don't need to. Along with another person by the name of Carrie Clare. Now, this property is located in Otisville, New York. The center's focus is to rescue orphaned and injured wildlife. Now, there you see, that's the map of the state of New York, and you can see where the center is located. And what's kind of neat, it's probably somewhat close to I guess the ocean, but I'm not sure on that. But there you see the map, and again, it's a pretty large location. This facility is to rehabilitate animals to return them to the wild. I mean, that's a goal for any of us when possible. Provide sanctuary to animals that cannot survive on their own. So it's kind of neat that they recognize that they can't say, well, I can't take that animal because it basically can't go back to the wild. No. They either A or B. You could come and stay. You can come and be, how would you say, nursed back to health and go back to where you came from. Another goal is to educate people about wildlife conservation. The founders have decades of experience as licensed wildlife rehabilitators, beginning long before formal incorporation of this facility. It's the neatest thing with my job here, my presentations, I learn new things. I was not aware that you could be, being a licensed wildlife rehabilitator, and that's cool. And I guess they did it before it was fashionable. So anyway, one of the famous, and this is a Kodiak bear, and I'll come to who and what his name is, and it is Jimbo, as I said. Anyway, bears is resident bears. The facility has become especially known for its resident bear program, housing multiple bears of different species. These include Syrian brown bears, Kodiak brown bears, individual bears with unique personalities and histories like Amy. You love it when they have the name, these normal names. Amy, Leo, Jenny, Sonia, and Kimmy, and also, as you're seeing, Jimbo. And again, as I kind of indicated, that this image is okay, but it is a real image of, and a picture taken of Jimbo. Now, what happens with images that, depending on the camera and the resolution and the distance, it has it where I said earlier that the clarity isn't as good as you'd like it. But I felt it was better just to really show you these bears in action. So here's Jimbo again. These bears live in large outdoor wooded enclosures with ponds and natural substrates, along with access to indoor dens, a setup designed for comfort and enrichment, not performance or entertainment. And again, what I find with these facilities, either here in the United States or Nairobi, et cetera, they have their hearts going in the right direction. As I said in, I think, my last presentation, there are animals being displayed in what we called roadside zoos. And, that is where people, it's almost like a circus. They get these animals and they're not probably taken care of anywhere near what these facilities do for them. And the main focus is financial, where they're saying, hey, come on, park your car, come over, spend $3 and you can take a look at the bears. I mean, that's, one would say, well, we have to make some money, we have to feed the bears. But it's one of those things where if somebody said, Jim, you have to make money, and the choices are, and they give me, 4 choices, and one of them is do an animal zoo on the side of the road, I would say, well, I'm not doing that, so I'll have to do one of the other 3. So, I understand. I have my heart also in, the animal world of how wonderful they are and how important it is for them to be taken very good care of and have it where they have a life that is safe and they have some fun. Animals like to have fun too. The story of Jimbo, a gentle giant. I think you can tell from looking at the picture. One of the most remarkable stories from the sanctuary was Jimbo, a Kodiak brown bear whose life became widely known online. Size, one of the largest at the facility, about 1,400 to 1,500 pounds. How would you like that sitting on you? And you'll see in a minute, maybe you're right. There he is. There's Jimbo. And that's one of his keepers and helpers. But you can see from looking at this, Jimbo could really hurt this person big time. And especially if you look in the upper left-hand corner, this wonderful helper mate has his hand and arm in Jimbo's mouth. So I guess I don't have to really stress how these animals just love the people they're with, and the people that are there love them as you would love any animal. And, as I've said many times, I have Jamie, our 11-year-old Shih Tzu, and boy, I just love the heck out of her. And one would say, well, is that your first dog? I'd say, no, I've had a lot of dogs. Have you loved them? Every one of them. As I've said jokingly, I love every animal I see. And I know if somebody as I joke, I mean, I don't look at an animal and go, oh, I don't really like that animal. No, I love them. But, you wouldn't want it where, and I joke that if I loved every lady I saw, or fell in love with every lady I saw, I'd be in a lot of trouble. But you can have and say how much you love every animal you see, and no one's going to, say that's wrong or bad or shame on you. Anyway, Jimbo is 9.5 feet tall. When standing. I hope it's when he's standing, not sitting. But anyway, he was born in captivity at an animal park out west and came to the center with a permanent back leg injury that made survival in the wild impossible. So that's where we get into where I said earlier, animals or bears come to this facility and they have a problem. They are nursed back to health and they can send them back to where they came from. But in this case, like for example, Jimbo has a bad leg and would not do well out in the wild. And that would probably be, it wouldn't be where he's tiny and other animals would beat him up. But I think what you'd get into with him is he probably wouldn't get the food that he would need. So, and when you're that size, 1,400 to 1,500 pounds, and you can see the massive structure of him, they need a lot of food. And so the great news is Jimbo has a home for the rest of his life with everything that he needs. And as you can see, he doesn't look unhappy. And I know I would feel the same way. I was watching on YouTube today, and I'm sorry to go off on these side stories, but there was a lady that saw a bear in her backyard. I guess she's probably in the woods, I'm not sure where in the United States. But the bear was kind of like right near where her back porch patio was. And I give her credit. I would have done the same thing. She started, and it looked like the bear really needed something. So she started feeding the bear. And in long story short, the bear ended up living on her porch. And I know I'd be out there sitting on his lap, but, and making sure he's well fed and taken care of. So there's Jimbo. Anyway, Jimbo's personality. Jimbo was known for his gentle temperament and was featured in popular videos showing him affectionately interacting with his caregiver, Jim Kodiak. I mentioned him earlier. So there he is. There's Jimbo also. Jimbo. His behaviors that drew millions of views and media attention. And these are just pictures, so there's no intrusion. There's no okay, let's have a bandstand and have everybody sitting watching Jim play with Jimbo. No, they would just take pictures, just like the pictures I pulled off their website, and people said, hey, that is wonderful. Anyway, legacy. He lived at the sanctuary for more than 2 decades, 20 years, becoming one of the most iconic residents. Jimbo passed away in 2018 of liver cancer at the age of 24. And that's sad. And, but he lived a good life. And I know any of us have a hard time understanding, or how would you say, feeling that, if I lived at I was 24 years old versus I'm 76 years old, I certainly wouldn't feel that 24 was a long life. So I do feel sad when any animal, their life expectancy is shorter, way shorter than humans. I mean, Jamie is, as I've mentioned, she's 11 years old, and I pray every day, and she's healthy, she's wonderful, but the recognition is she's probably might live another 2 or 3 years. I mean, and that's sad to even say, but you got to understand, that's the way it is right now. But the neat thing, even though he died at 24, his story continues to touch many fans and supporters. His life stands as a powerful example of compassionate care, the depth of bond that's possible between humans and rescued wildlife, and the dedication of people at this facility. Wildlife rehabilitation and education. Their approach emphasizes rehabilitation first, with the hope that animals, especially smaller species, can return to their wild once healed. Only those that cannot survive on their own are offered permanent sanctuary. So I think, I understand that we really would love to have animals be able to go back to their original home, but if they can't, they have a great home here. So, and we all kind of get used to where we are. So you would say Jimbo probably said, hey, this is a great place to be. I've got people I love, people love me. I have a neat home, and I have plenty of food to eat. While the sanctuary is not open to the general public, limited educational tours are available by appointment to help people understand wildlife needs and respect for native species. So that even goes even more further in recognizing that this particular facility, and those that have already done in the United States and not in the United States, it's not a profit motive. This isn't something you'd say, well, I can do this or that, and you say, well, I'm going to make more money if I take care of animals. No, that isn't how it doesn't work that way generally. And because the time commitment, the money, the space, the food, medical care, etc. There's no HMO, PPO healthcare for these wonderful animals. A sanctuary built on trust and love. What truly distinguishes the Orphaned Wildlife Center is personalized care. Every resident is known by name and personality, natural living spaces, large enriched habitats, mimic nature, deep bond stories like Jimbo's illustrate trust and mutual affection, education without exploitation. Animals are not taught tricks. They are not treated with dignity. They are treated with dignity. Anyway, now you're looking at Sonia, and those are 3 images of Sonia, and you can see, again, she loves her keepers, and she also loves to go swimming, as you can see on the right-hand side. Sonia is one of the sanctuary's Syrian brown bears, a species that is very endangered in the wild. She came to the center after losing her mother and cannot return to the wild. That's what happened. One of the facilities I did was all related to taking care of elephants. And, a lot of the animals, when they're born, elephants are one example, where they spend a lot of time with their mom and dad, but mainly their mom. And the mom or the mother teaches them everything they need to know. So if something happens to the mom, the poor, elephant in this case is not going to do well because they have not learned everything they need to know. So the one facility I did on with elephants is they bring them in and continue their education so that they kind of, you might say, have a full life, and maybe you're going to be able to go back to the wild, maybe not, but they're not going to be where they can't be somewhat self-sufficient. Anyway, delightful personality. In recent footage, Sonia is seen, there you go, floating peacefully in a pond, toes up and relaxed, showing just how content and comfortable she is in her home. Now, in Human Bonds, in a touching reunion video, Sonia recognized and joyfully greeted one of her former caretakers years after he last visited, even remembering games they used to play together. The biggest thing you get into with any of these is these animals are smart. My Jamie is smart. And we sometimes, not me personally, but people think, well, they're a dumb animal because they don't speak. Well, they do. They speak in their own way, and they just, by nature, they're not given vocal cords. It's that simple. So it wouldn't be like, well, they're dumb because they can't speak. No, they just don't have vocal cords like we do. And in some cases, it'd be great if some of us, I'm joking, some of us don't have vocal cords and we couldn't speak. I won't say anybody. If you think of anybody, keep it to yourself. Anyway, this is Leo. Leo is another Syrian brown bear at the sanctuary, around 900 pounds, with a dog-like, playful nature. I mean, I know you're saying, boy, he looks about the same size as Jimbo. Well, 900 pounds or 1,500 pounds, I know it's a little bit different, but anyway. You see him splashing in ponds and joyfully interacting with sticks, showing off his curiosity and gentle temperament. As you can see, he's with one of his keepers. That's probably Jim. I couldn't tell because of the hat he has on. And anyway, he just loves these animals. And, what a wonderful life to do something so good for something on this earth and have it where you enjoy it extremely a lot. Anyway, it's warmed many hearts in videos and photos shared by the sanctuary community. Now, two of the female Syrian brown bears with their own unique traits, lean brown bear with their own unique coloring. Amy is one of these. She's 370 pounds, and that's that's, that's still heavy. It's considered very intelligent and best friends with Jenny. Her favorite food is grapes. I just love this. Jenny is roughly 330 pounds and a lover of peanuts and snow play. Obviously, in New York, they have the four seasons. So she's like, hey, when the winter comes, I'm excited. She's known for her friendly demeanor and close bond with Amy. So these two hang out together. These two spend a lot of their time together, complementing each other's personalities and reinforcing the family-like atmosphere at the sanctuary. Now, back to Jimbo a little bit again. Jimbo was one of the most famous residents in the center's history. And you can see why, because of his size and his actions. It isn't even just his size. You'd say, well, he's cool because he's 1,400 to 1,500 pounds. No, he's cool because he's funny, loves life, loves his caregivers. He was as I said earlier, he was a Kodiak brown bear weighing around 1,400 to 1,500 pounds, standing back to this 9.5 feet tall, making him one of the largest Kodiak bears on record. Gentle and sweet, despite his size, Jimbo was known for friendly dog-like behavior and videos of him hugging and cuddling with his caregiver, Jim. And this whole action went viral online. Now, he was loved and he's dearly missed. He passed away, as I said, from liver cancer in 2018 at 24. His legacy continues, and it inspires people to see how deeply animals can bond with humans. Just so we don't let anybody out of the picture, other bear residents and their personalities, beyond a few stars, the sanctuary has many bears, each with distinct traits. Randy, a big eater with a bold personality. They didn't have pictures of these. Kimmy, the smallest but often the boss of her group. Rosie, a former Kodiak resident who loved peppermints and even coffee. Whoa, that's great. Frank, and this was a past resident, loved sunflower seeds, blueberries, and even blueberry pie. Maybe he was smart enough to even bake his own pies. I don't know. Each bear at this facility has been given individualized care with diets and enrichment tailored to their personalities. And none are trained to perform tricks. I know some of this is repeating. They simply live as comfortably and naturally as possible. Anyway, why do these stories matter? Deep bonds, many of these bears were orphaned or couldn't survive in the wild, yet found lasting care and trusted relationships at the sanctuary. Natural life. Bears live in a spacious outdoor enclosures that mimic natural habitats rather than zoo cages. This is not picking on zoos, but it's definitely an issue. Anyway, viral moments, videos of bears playing, floating, and interacting have touched millions of people online, helping raise awareness about wildlife care. So, the neat thing is, and this is why I am so lucky, blessed, to be able to present these animal stories, animal locations, animal facilities. And it really personalizes the understanding how wonderful animals are and how, if handled correctly, can really add to someone's life. And as much as I'm not at that facility, by my putting this presentation together, it definitely demonstrates how I care. But way more than that, my saying I care and doing a presentation on these animals is nothing compared to what the people do that take care of them year after year after year and make sure they have the best life possible. Anyway, thank you very much for being here today. And if you have an opportunity, if you can subscribe, that would be appreciated. And I hope you're doing well. And again, thank you for being here. Take care.